We'll go ahead and begin now. My name is Robin. We're going to be spending an hour together doing some Zen meditation, talking about it, experiencing it. I'd like to know who is new here to meditation. It's like brand new. Okay, so you've never meditated before. Welcome. Okay. And is anyone new to Zen meditation? It's a little different. Okay, great. So Zen is a type of meditation that emphasizes stillness and silence. So I will explain the technique to you, give you some suggestions of what to do with your mind and your posture, etc. We'll meditate. I'll ring the bell at the end. We'll have a little discussion, and we'll meditate again. So an hour will go pretty quickly. So I've been meditating for too many years, at least 40, okay. Not straight, taking some breaks off. I particularly like the silent stillness. I'm just used to that. I'm just now learning to meditate when things are a little noisier, when people come into a meditation hall late, or when they're moving around in their chairs and they're squeaking. That used to really annoy me, but now I'm just like, it's just a sound like anything else. So it's good to be kind of well-rounded. So with Zen, I'll talk about posture first. In the stillness of it all, we want to be as still as we can. So find a position that you're going to be able to maintain for, let's say, maybe 20 minutes without moving if you possibly can. Why do we even want to do that? Still body, still mind. Hopefully that will link up. Okay, so you can be sitting on a chair, you could be sitting in a cushion. I recommend to many people, if you're on a chair, put a cushion behind your back so you can sit straight and be comfortable. If you have to move, please just do it quietly. And partially it's because of not disturbing other people, but also just keeping your mind still. Okay, so you got your posture, you're going to commit to it. So think about how you're going to sit. All right. If you're going to sit cross-legged, that's great. If you're going to sit in a chair, that's fine. Hands. Your hands can be on your lap. They can be, some people like to do what's called the cosmic mudra, so where your thumbs are connected, and just that little bit of intention to keep the thumbs joined can give your mind something else to do besides just go on and on and on with thinking. All right, so we're committing to our posture, we're committing to our hand position. So what's going to happen while we're meditating? What are we going to do with our minds? So the usual practice is breathing practice. Breathing in, breathing out. You can either say those words, breathing in, breathing out. You can count. Many people like to count to 10. I don't think I've ever successfully made it all the way to 10 without having a thought. But that's the intention. I would just say don't set it as a goal because you probably won't be able to do it. And that's okay. So the intention is to keep the focus on the breath in, breath out, okay? There's another method that I like to teach, which is called 3-point awareness. So you can have your awareness on the breath, on the sounds. Let's just listen to sounds right now. There's a lot to pay attention to, right? And you'll notice the sounds will change. So breath, sounds, and then the third point of awareness might be bodily sensation. It might be the sensation of your hands on your lap. It could be the sensation of your back against the chair. So all those things to say, you're in your world, okay? Now, what about your eyes? Many people meditate with their eyes closed. I hesitate to do that because it always makes me sleepy and dreamy. We're not trying to be in a dreamy state. We're trying to be in present moment awareness. So for example, if I'm going to sit, I'm going to have my eyes half open and my gaze is cast down. I'm not focusing on anything, but I can sort of, in my periphery, I can see what's happening a little bit. If that's difficult, and a lot of people have a hard time with that, have your eyes closed. If you notice that you're falling asleep, open your eyes, okay? So those would be the instructions. Just to remind you, I will not be reminding you of any of this while we're meditating. I'm not going to tell you breathe in, breathe out, where's your mind? You don't have to say any of that. So that's all going to be your responsibility. So to commit to your posture, how am I going to sit? How am I going to hold my hands? Are my eyes going to be open or closed? What am I going to do with my breath? Okay, so breath in, breath out, let's say, and a thought comes by. Rather than grab onto that thought and just go with it, which is our temptation, and this is what we always do, just notice it like a cloud passing through the sky and come back to the breath, or the breath and the sounds and the bodily sensations. So thoughts will arise. We're not trying to empty our minds of thoughts. We're trying to give our minds enough other things to subtly pay attention to, so it doesn't have full reign to do a lot of thinking. Make sense? Questions before we get started? Everybody feel like they can do it? I know y'all can do it. Good, I've seen some thumbs up. And Merry Christmas to all of you who may celebrate, and it's nice to see several of you who I know. Okay, so I'm going to start with 3 bells. I will end with 2 bells, and I generally, just because I'm used to it, at the end of the sitting, I like to do a little hand bow. If that works for you, do that. If it doesn't, not to worry. Okay? All right. like to hear from you and hear about your experiences. Before I do that, I do want to apologize for not acknowledging the people who are joining us online. Welcome. If you have any questions or comments, there's a chat box on your screen. Please feel free to use that. So I want to congratulate you all. You all look like really strong Zen meditators. Nobody with so much moving and wiggling around. But what did that feel like for you? Who had a hard time staying still? It's okay to admit it. Everybody's perfectly fine sitting perfectly still. You had a hard time?
The beginning.
At the beginning?
The beginning was like, it's been a few days that we haven't gone sitting.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it was quite tough.
Right. We're just not used to it. We're not used to sitting perfectly still. So why would it be easy unless you get used to it? What about you? Did you have a hard time at all?
I did.
Okay. What was going on for you? And we're all in this together, so no shame. Feel free to share if you want
So
to.
I wanted to scratch and
Yeah.
move around.
Sure, we want to do everything, but what our intention is to sit in stillness and experience this present moment. We don't want to do that. We want to do other stuff, right? Because that's just how our minds are conditioned. So we're training our minds to do something else, to just be in this present moment. So who else had a hard time? Anybody? Yeah, right.
So as soon as you hit the third bell,
Yeah.
total like, I wanted to scratch right here.
Oh, did you?
It's just like this
Right.
huge itch like came up that I just wanted to scratch, but I, kept focused on the breath
Right.
to like let it pass.
Yeah.
But I did notice that several times during the meditation, parts of me like, felt an itch that I wanted to scratch.
Right. Right. That's just our mind. We want you
Yeah.
to do something else.
Yeah.
Have you ever did you observe that itchiness? Because it's an interesting thing to do. You just observe it.
I did.
And if you give it, it's like you don't want to give it all your attention, because you feel like then you're gonna for sure have to scratch it. But just watch it and you see how it gets like sharp and prickly and
Exactly.
then eventually it goes away.
It did, and I could feel it actually fading away.
Yeah.
And as I just kept focusing on the breath.
Right. So the breath was the anchor for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I either mastered it or I fell asleep. I think
Okay.
it's the latter.
You're not sure. I didn't hear any snoring, so unless you don't
So I
snore,
don't
you're
feel my
sleeping.
head go like that.
Yeah.
Trying to get myself. I realized that coming out of that is that usually the only time that I do sit still is when I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's a signal to my body I'm going to sleep.
Exactly.
Also, my eyes were tearing, and I noticed them tearing, and normally I would automatically wipe them. And I was thinking, why do I think I need to wipe them?
Exactly.
Like that's just a habit. It can drip.
We're so attached to comfort. Like,
Yeah.
why do I need to scratch my nose? Why do I need to wipe my eye? Why do I need to be comfortable all the time? That's just what we think, right? Yeah, it's kind of crazy, huh? But that's how we do it. Yeah. Yes.
I didn't really have difficulty with the sitting still, but at the beginning, I was very much getting accosted by a lot of thoughts, more than normal.
Okay.
I can tell I've been on social media a lot in the past few days,
Uh-huh.
that's for sure, because every little thing that I didn't even register consciously days ago, popped up. So at the beginning half,
Right.
I just felt like I was drowning.
Uh-huh.
You know, when you're trying to get out of water and you're getting kicked down,
Yeah.
it's like that. But then I zeroed in on the concentration of the breath and then it rounded out, okay.
Right. Oh, that's good. Yeah, you're just noticing what's going on in your mind normally because you're focusing. You don't have much else to do, It's just you and your mind, Just notice the difference in sound. That's one thing that I want to mention. If you can also include sound in your awareness, listen to that. It's quite different, isn't it? Right. And so without necessarily reaching out, oh well, thank God that noise shut off. Or just notice the quiet. Okay. I particularly love the silence of this type of meditation. Nobody's talking. It's just beautiful silence. And again, that's what I'm used to, and I'm now learning to meditate when there's a little bit of noise. That's hard for me, okay, because I'm not used to it. If you find that this type of meditation resonates for you, weekday mornings, 8 o'clock, there's 2 sittings. It's just the person who rings the bell and a handful of people who come. Same thing at noon, 2 sittings. I highly recommend the first Saturday of the month, the 4-hour half-day sitting. It's not 4 hours all in a row, it's broken up, but you get into the groove of just being in silence, and it can be a beautiful experience. Did anyone, I wanted to ask you, the guy in the back, you said that you were brand new to meditation.
Yeah.
Well, you were brave to come to a Zen class because people don't usually want to do Zen. It's a little harder in the sense that there's no one coaxing you along. So what was it like for you?
I prefer it.
Good.
I prefer it. And if, the sitting still part is easy for me, you know, because it's just this for me. It's just a discipline I'm used to.
Right, okay. Right.
And like the thoughts, I kind of had a cadence with my breathing, so if my thought was on the cadence of breathing, but I was inundated with the feeling, emotions.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and it's very, very foreign to me.
Right. Well, I hope you'll keep doing it because lots of things come up when you're meditating. All the creatures in the forest will come to you as you're sitting under the tree. You know, it's thoughts, emotions. Many times if you're feeling an emotion, you'll feel it in the body somewhere. Let's say it's in your chest. So just breathe into that space. So if you're following your breath, breathe into that space. They can be a little scary. It's kind of like, you know, if you're having an itch, you don't want to focus on it because it's going to make you crazy. You have to do something about it. But it didn't make you crazy. You didn't start screaming or anything. You just like sat there and you got through it, right? And we're braver than we think we are. You know, this is not easy. So I commend you for doing it. Did anyone do other than breath practice? Did anybody do the 3-point awareness or the 2-point with the breath and the sounds and sensations? Everybody pretty much did breath. Okay. Who did breath counting? Did anybody get to 10? I love your honesty. It's really hard. And what you may notice, because I did breath counting for a long time, you'll be breathing in, breathing out 1, breathing in, breathing out 2. Then you'll have a thought, but it's just a little thought. Do I have to count it as a thought or do I have to start over? You know, you notice what you start doing. You play little games in your mind and you notice that maybe I do that in other places in my life, not just on the meditation cushion. Maybe I'm not totally honest. It's just a good awareness. You know, if I can't even be honest with myself, did I make it to 10? Oh, maybe that's just something to look at, you know? And so what does it mean if I only made it to 2? It means I made it to 2. I had 2 mindful breaths. Yay me. So just another way to look at it. Okay. Anybody else have comments? I'm going to read a little bit from this book. Yeah.
I had a kind of question about the like meditating in the noise thing that you said about.
Yeah.
And I saw this video a long time ago talking about how sometimes people need like a perfect situation to meditate in, like this, where it's like it's meant for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really easy to kind of engage in the practice, I guess.
Right.
But sometimes it's really good to try and practice meditating or calming down in really intense situations. And I was wondering, like, if you could share maybe some stuff that you do, or if you just focus on the breathing.
Right. As I mentioned, I came from many years of Zen practice, and it was quiet and still. And I had a teacher one time say to me, well, you already know how to meditate in silence. You need to learn to meditate in busyness, in noise. And that was a challenge for me. So what I do the 3-point awareness, because that helps give my mind enough to focus on my breath, the sounds, and bodily sensations, whatever they are. So when I hear a noise, I just notice it as a noise. There's many different ways you can meditate, and some people will recommend thought labeling. I tend to find that a little too much thinking, like you're thinking about what type of thought am I having. That seems like a little much to me, but for some people it works. So, you know, you could be like meditating and then you hear a sound and you get annoyed about it, and you could label that feeling annoyed about that thought, you know, and then go back to the breath. To me, that seems to just derail me a little bit. So what you want to do in your meditation practice, it's very personal. Zen has more structure than a lot of other schools of meditation, but it's just to give you a container. Okay, so whatever works for you. So that's why I said, follow your breath, count your breath, do your breath and the sounds, do your breath and the sensations. Have your eyes open, have your eyes closed. Whatever's gonna work for you, do that. If you absolutely cannot meditate with your eyes partially open, close your eyes. You notice you're falling asleep, open your eyes. So you want to do what's gonna work for you. Does that make sense? Yeah. Which isn't to say that it can't be really distracting. I remember coming here one time and on a Saturday, and there was like all of these helicopters going by, and I thought I was gonna lose my mind. But I wasn't to the point where I could just let that be a sound. I just wanted it to be quiet for my meditation. See how self-centered that is? We're very self-centered thoughts all the time. It's all about me and my comfort and my. So, and that's an observation. So, that makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I brought along this book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Some of you may be familiar with it, by Suzuki Roshi. Suzuki Roshi was a famous Zen master. If you have any interest in meditation and Zen meditation in particular, I would recommend this. We have it downstairs in the bookstore. And these are just quotes from some of his talks. So I'm going to read just some from a very small chapter, because we've already touched on some of these things. So this is called calmness. For Zen students, a weed is a treasure. A Zen poem says, after the wind stops, I see a flower falling. Because of the singing bird, I find the mountain calmness. Before something happens in the realm of calmness, we do not feel the calmness. Only when something happens within it do we feel the calmness. There's a Japanese saying, for the moon, there is the cloud. For the flower, there is the wind. When we see a part of the moon covered by a cloud, or a tree, or a weed, we feel how round the moon is. But when we see the clear moon without anything covering it, we do not feel that roundness the same way we do when we see it through something else. So have you ever noticed that when you see the moon, you may see a shadow on it, you may see a cloud by it, and it's the contrast that may help you see the moon in its fullness. It's kind of like when we're meditating in silence and you hear a sound, the sound reminds you of the silence. I don't know if that kind of makes sense. Or the sound could bring you back to your silence. So for example, I could be meditating or thinking I'm meditating, but I might be daydreaming and I haven't even caught on to what's going on yet. And a sound will come and it'll just wake me up. And I'll just say to myself, come back. So that's what I use. So you can use different things, okay? So this type of meditation is called Zazen. When you are doing Zazen, you are within the complete calmness of your mind. Now you might not feel calm, but you'll have periods of calmness, right? You don't feel anything. You just sit. But the calmness of your sitting will encourage you in your everyday life. So actually you'll find the value of Zen in your everyday life rather than when you sit. So sometimes, we'll meditate here and you may hear a suggestion, maybe you feel different now than you feel in your normal life. Maybe you don't, maybe it all feels the same. What I've noticed in my practice over the years is I feel more present and I feel more grounded and calmer. Maybe not after this meditation, but through the years, I just notice a change. And that's why it's called a practice, because you don't just do it for a few days and then you're like, okay, I'm done with that. But it's a practice, and you will find if you can get yourself into it, if you can get into the mentality of just do it, don't ask why you're doing it, just do it, you're gonna find it will change your life. And I know there are some long-term meditators in here who have had that experience, who can validate that. But you're gonna discover it, and it's gonna be up to you, okay? I've gone through periods of time where I haven't meditated, and I reflect back on those times. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't sit in stillness. I didn't quiet my mind. I wasn't training my mind to be present. Have you ever had the experience where you're talking to someone, you're having a conversation with them, and you just you notice that they've checked out? They're not listening to you. You notice it, right? And so that might be a good reflection to ask you, do I do that? we probably have all done it, right? So I try to be, with my practice, be aware that when I'm talking to someone, I'm giving them my full attention. I'm having eye contact. I'm really like caring about what they're saying. So we're training our minds in so many different ways with this meditation, with this focus. Let me see what else was in here that I wanted to say. When you practice Zazen, you should not try to attain anything. Okay, so some people will say, well, why should I meditate? It doesn't make me feel calmer, and it might not. And I try to encourage people not to set a goal, but to have an intention. It's sort of the same, but not exactly. I'm intending to follow my breath. I'm intending to count to 10. I'm intending that somewhere along the way, I'm going to feel calmer and more present. So don't try to set a goal necessarily, because you may find yourself getting frustrated because you may not need it. In our everyday life, we're usually trying to do something, trying to change something into something else. We're trying to attain something. Just this trying is already in itself an expression of our true nature. So just understand that this is hard enough what we're doing, okay? Just trying to sit perfectly still and follow our breath. Do what we do with our thoughts. It's many people don't do this, but it's present moment awareness. Have you ever taken a walk and not been present with your walking? Have you just taken your thoughts for a walk? Or you could be present in your walking. You could feel your feet on the ground. You could feel the breeze. You could hear the birds. So present moment awareness, that's all that we're trying. If we were trying to attain anything, that's what it would be, present moment awareness, just being here. Did anybody have trouble with the eyes, like open or closed? Everybody's pretty good with what they chose to do? Okay, good. All right, so we'll meditate again. Oh, does anybody have a guess how long that meditation was that we did?
Hour and a half.
An hour and a half, yeah, right.
20 minutes.
20 minutes?
It was 20 minutes, yeah. After a while, you're gonna get used to 20 minutes and think, oh, wow, that was nothing. But in the beginning, it's just like, is she ever gonna ring the bell? Did she fall asleep? What happened? You know? So, yeah. Okay. All right, so let's get back to our meditation posture. This will be a slightly shorter one because we're getting closer to the end. So just to remind you, why are we doing this? We want to be present in our lives, present moment awareness. So pick your posture, commit to it. Just my intention is I'm going to sit still right here, right now. I'm going to focus on my breath, the sounds possibly, if that's what I want to focus on. You may want to try incorporating that. You may want to try noticing the pressure of your hands on your legs. You do what works for you. If you have too many things going on and it feels too much, go back to breath. If you like holding your hands like this in the cosmic mudra, just so you have a little focus of your two thumbs touching, do that. You don't want to? Don't do it. Do what works for you. Okay, everybody ready? All right. All right, so let's hear from some of you. What were your observations about this meditation compared to the previous one? More difficult, less difficult? Did you try anything different? Did anybody incorporate hearing sounds? Yeah, how was that for you? Yeah.
Well, I was wondering what that
I
sound
know, right?
was,
Right.
but
So the temptation is to, oh, I wonder what that is. Why are they setting off fire? But to just notice sound, go back to the breath. So that's our easy. But that was good.
yeah.
Who else? Who did something different? Anybody counting breath and got to a higher number? I got up to 6. That was pretty good. What I want to caution you against is judging your practice. It wasn't a good meditation or a bad meditation, it was a meditation. We set our intention to be in present moment awareness. We did how we did. And it will get better with practice because you'll get more used to it. And maybe the meditation won't seem like an hour and a half, it might seem like, oh, felt like 10 minutes. Did she forget to ring the bell? What's happening, right? And I find sounds are a really good trigger to remind me, like, oh, I wasn't even meditating, I was just daydreaming, so good for you. Okay. So before everybody heads out, Carolyn, our host, is in the back, has a few announcements for us before we go. Long walk up here. It is long.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm tonight's host, Carol. We opened the Dharma